Oh, goodness gracious. We have a lot to talk about today. We might end up playing some Resident Evil. I don't know. It just depends on how long we talk about this situation because a lot has changed since yesterday when it was about noon, I think. And Drew came in from Comics Elite and from Ethan Author Born of Blood and some others, and said that there was a suicide note from Ed Piskor, and that is where we're going to talk about. We're going to elaborate on that situation because shortly thereafter, Ed was confirmed dead. And there is a lot to unwrap here, and I don't know how I feel about it yet. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. So we're going to go through it. I did get your email, Raymond, right before, and we're going to actually kind of dive into everything that happened and give some context before we go and I tell you how I think about the situation. It's a really I'll just start off by saying this because eventually it's going to get to a point where people think I'm a bit heartless, right? And I think this situation is extremely sad. I think a lot of people are using it and it's very gross. I think right now the only people that really matter in this situation is Ed's mother and father and sister. Those people closest around him. None of us really matter, right? To be fair, we're just reporting on the news. We're just talking about what happened. But none of us really matter. My opinion, your opinion, doesn't really matter. What matter is how his family feels, right? Because when someone takes their own life, they're just gone, right? And that's why a lot of people, myself included, look at it as a very selfish act. He is no longer affected by what is happening. The people that are affected are the people that he left behind. The death matters most to those that he left behind. And that's what's really, really sad about this situation. His elderly mother and father and his sister. And I know there are others affected. I'm just mentioning family because those were what was really talked about. And Jim, of course, Jim Rugg in this situation, he did throw him under the bus a bit, but I know he said those words. I also am of half the mind to think if that was a little bit planned. I don't know. But regardless, those are the people that matter. But Ed never blamed him in the letter. I thought he said those words hurt when Jim threw him under the bus. I know he did mention a time, and we can take a look at it in a little bit, but I know he did mention that he came over and gave him a hug and that it was a big deal, right? To him, that was a big deal. So, this whole situation is really, really sad. And I think there's a lot of conversations that need to be had out of this, right? One is accountability versus cancel culture. One is the idea of bullying online and growing a spine. People, okay, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. You're not gonna like my opinion on this. I'm telling you right now. So let's start at the beginning, right? Let's start at the beginning because I think some people have context missing as to what happened in this situation, and some people just don't know whatsoever. So we've seen this song and dance a few times, right? We've seen this song and dance a few times. We've seen a lot of situations where people are canceled for, and again, I am not negating what happened to Molly, because I am telling you right now, somebody talked to my daughter this way, I would fucking kill them. I'm just telling you that. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. 17, that's a big deal, right? It's a big deal. As a grown-ass man, he should have known better. But also as a human, we err. We do make sense. Or we do make mistakes. We do. But you should not be talking to a child. And I know some people don't look at 17 like a child. Maybe it's just because I'm old, right? Maybe it is. You should not be talking to anyone under the age of 18. Now, I did look into it. It does look like Pennsylvania, where they're from. The consent age is, what? I think 16. So from a legal aspect, right, he wouldn't have done anything wrong even if they had sex, which they did not. I want to make that clear. But they did not. But they did like do some weird text back and forth. So let's look at that first, and then so we can give context to the situation. And Reese, I don't know what's the matter. If you want to talk about people that were on their side 3 days ago, go look at the way it was covered by Comicsgate. I seen this morning, all within a week, JDA was saying, oh, these leftists, these perverted groomers. And then days later, he's like, oh, the cancel culture killed him, right? So let's not pretend like with new information, people can't change their minds. I am absolutely on neither side of either one of these, right? I can be perfectly honest with you. I don't know how I feel, because I can feel different ways, different parts of my personality, right? Like as a mom, I could see how fucking weird this is. As a human, I can see how you make mistakes. But as a grown ass 40-year-old man, you should not be talking to a 17-year-old child. You find out they're 17, you fucking bail. Nice to see you. Great work. Move on. Right? Especially, and I hate to even say this, but especially as a man. Right? We know the internet is a terrible, vindictive, horrible place. But did this man deserve what he got? No, not necessarily. So basically, in a nutshell, consent is 16 if you're under 21. After 21, there's not a law for 20-year-old age difference. Okay. So I did not look more into it. So I was wrong. So I appreciate it, Jasper. I thought it was, I literally just Googled what is the age of consent in Pennsylvania. So, let's go over what happened. And we have some stuff to talk about people that were specifically named in this situation, and people that were have since responded that were named in the suicide note. I was really hoping that this wouldn't end this way, but at least if it starts a conversation, I hate to even say this. We don't need sides, Trish, to say what you think. I'm honestly holding back what I'm saying to a degree, because I don't have respect for suicide. But I understand depression. I understand the idea of feeling that low. But the people most affected by suicide are not the people that are gone. Again, it's the people that are left to deal with what you left behind and to have to grieve and to have to bury their son or their brother, right? That's why I can't respect it. I do, and I believe I said this yesterday. It's cowardly, right? It's a cowardly move. And all over a couple screenshots, and I do agree with Michael about her messages being edited. So let's take a look. He says, see, right here is what makes me initially think that they were edited. Sometimes I'm a slut for line art. You can see that she said that. She cut off what was above that, right? It's a weird thing to say, right? It is a weird thing to say. Especially at 17. So he says, damn, that's incredible work. Are you 17 or 18? I'm going to be so mad if you say 17 because it crushes me at that age. Not sure what that means. But he was obviously concerned enough to ask. That's the point where he should have stopped talking to her. Then he says, draw anything cool lately, nerdy girl. She must have sent a photo of her drawing. Just self-indulgent doodling. You're so fucking good, Molly. Again, nothing really creepy about that. They're sending says reacted to your story. They're sending little heart emojis. I'm not going to read what she says because there's no actual proof as to, it's just her words, right? And we don't have him here to defend himself. Naughty girl, that's my favorite. Now we don't know what that was being said to. I'm not sure that context would make calling a 17-year-old naughty any better. What context could you add there that would make calling a 17-year-old naughty any better, right? And I completely agree. He said some creepy stuff, but nothing illegal, nothing worth a life. But what I really get bothered by, he didn't commit a crime. It might have been creepy. What I'm bothered by is the covering of this situation. There has to be some sort of accountability for your own actions. And there's a lot of people saying that cancel culture killed him. Or the woke mob killed him. No. Ed Piskor killed himself. Right? Okay, we've done this game for a long time, right? Right? We've seen a lot of shit. A lot of accusations thrown out there. We've seen a lot of them, like with Marilyn Manson, right? He ended up settling out of court. That was a very weird situation. Still really no answers to that. Johnny Depp, we've seen that situation. We saw the whole thing play out in front of us. We heard his words, which were terrible at times. Hers were fucking terrible at times, right? We've seen a lot worse than this. A lot worse than this. Why? What was going on that he did not have the correct support system? He did not have the correct community. Like, what was going on in his life that he felt like this? Again, creepy does not equal illegal. Creepy does not equal death. None of that would be something that I could see somebody taking their life for. So what was going on? What mental state was he in? That somebody was not there with him. And that's why I say a support system. Somebody was not there with him or for him when he needed it most. This is what this conversation needs to be, is about mental health and about doing and fixing this sort of stuff. But the conversation is not that, right? A lot worse by whose standards? I just don't feel okay. This is my personal standard, right? I don't feel like he did anything that wrong. This is only my standards that would need this sort of reaction. This just seems like an overreaction. I feel like there's absolutely a redemption point for this. The internet is very, very finicky, right? This was the flavor of that week. Next week, something would happen and they would have forgotten all about Ed Piskor, right? They would have forgotten all about him. There was absolutely a path to redemption. We've seen it done before. Again, I'm going to mention Johnny Depp just because that's the most famous case of real redemption with false accusations. He could have bounced back. Again, my own standards, to be clear. My own standard. I don't feel like this man did anything that deserves this sort of reaction. Are you trying to make excuses for the people Ed called out in the note that said killed him? No, I didn't even mention them yet. Like, that's here we go. Let's not do the overreaction things, right? We'll get to that subject, but we haven't even mentioned that yet. Some people don't want a support system, and I understand that, James. Some people are very, very introverted, right? But you don't even need a system. Sometimes you just need a person. I know he had a sister. I know he had his parents. Drew said he was and Drew did email me yesterday about it and say that he was talking to someone behind, the scenes, and that he wasn't in a good mental state. And I just, more than anything, wish somebody would have been there to help him, right? Would have been there. And I can say I wish all I want, right? But it didn't happen. It didn't happen. What redemption can Ed get? I mean, the only way you can get redemption is when the Whisper Network gets destroyed for what they did. This isn't let's okay. Let's not do this hyperbole thing, right? Like, I literally seen yesterday that Diversity in Comics put Alex DeCampi killed Ed Piskor. No. Ed Piskor killed Ed Piskor. There was no whisper network. They were saying it out loud. Make them responsible for the words they said in public. Right? This isn't some whisper network thing. They were saying it on their fucking social media. I covered the situation. Does that make me part of the problem? That's fucking ridiculous. People are allowed, and that was one thing I did not like about that note. Acting like you can't cover the situation is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Wes from Thinking Critical did a much better job covering the situation. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. When it comes to breaking down, he just did a very concise video, right? Is he part of the problem? Absolutely not. This isn't his fault, my fault, or anybody that talked about it's fault. Are they allowed to have stupid ass opinions? For fucking sure. But the fact of the matter is he gave them power. He gave them power, right? Punk, thank you so much and good morning to you. Punk says, hello, Tristan. Hello to you too. I think he was lonely and vulnerable. I agree. His career was in ruins. The comic community would keep shaming him and he felt trapped. So let's dissect this a bit. I do completely agree with you, Michael. I think he was lonely and vulnerable. I think he had been for some time. I know that he had dated somebody for a while, and I think it was more recent they broke up. I'm not excusing anything. But his career was in ruins. He had lost a $75K opportunity. That's a big deal for an artist. It's a lot of money. That's more than some people make in a year. It's more than most people make in a year, right? That's a huge deal. The comics community sucks. Let's be perfectly honest here. The comics community sucks. Most of them. And that's why I think I like to stick to like our community, because I feel like there's a balance of personalities that all pretty much get along, that all pretty much support each other. But the comics community on, I just think it's smarter to stay off those platforms. I think it's cancerous. I think it's bad for your mental state to be on, especially like Twitter, right? Very, very toxic shit. But the comics community that he's talking about, don't have power. I think the journalist specifically, there was a journalist, and I think that person pushed him over more than anyone. I could be wrong, but that there was a journalist. I went to his house. That went to his house. I'm sorry. Not went to his house. Went to his parents' house. And wanted to talk to his parents. I understand you want to get like the breaking news. This is a small times comics creators. And I know he had the history of hip hop or whatever. And then of course he had his big X-Men story. He had Red Room, he had stuff on Fantagraphics. I understand that. But this, I'm not talking massive scale. I'm talking a relatively small creator. Small-ish. The journalist demanded to talk to his dad and doxed him. That is wild to me. Someone pulled the quantum TV. Oh my God, I forgot that person even existed. No, they didn't call his parents and rat on him, but they did go actually personally to his parents' house, said, I want to talk to Piskor's dad, Mr. Piskor. And actually put his address in the footage. That's wild to me. That's beyond wild to me. It's just, it's something that I don't feel like good journalists would do. So adding more context here, she says, this is what I found really weird. Now he did add context, which did help a little bit. And Robert said, and supposedly she shows no regret. Wild. I would love to be a fly on the wall or an empath on the wall to know how this girl is feeling right now. The lack of integrity nowadays is crazy. Are you talking about journalists? I think that's kind of their brand at this point, isn't it? That's kind of their brand when it comes to journalism. So when he says, I feel like you'd be a good partner in crime, not a snitch, are you? We robbed some banks, you want to rat me out. Now, initially, this is what creeped me out the most, but he did add context, which she did not, right? Because you always have to frame your narrative the way you want people to see you. And that's a bit of what she did. Let's be real. And I think I am a lot more than maybe some of you into believing victims first, right? But usually there is one side, there is the other side, and the truth falls somewhere in between. So I feel like both of them, I wish. Another thing that Ed could have done to help was release the full conversations, right? Release the full conversations. But what he did was actually, to my understanding, completely left social media. And I get it. It was probably an emotional move, which means you don't have access. You don't have access to those private messages anymore. And I wish that there's so many things I can sit back here and go, this could have changed the outcome. This could have changed the outcome. And I know I'll keep doing that, but that's because at the end of the day, somebody is dead, right? So I'm always going to look at ways to solve and or prevent this from happening again. Now, does that mean we take away? Now, again, a lot of people are placing the blame on other people. Does that mean you take away their right to freedom of speech? I am 100% a freedom of free speech absolutist for the most part. So I don't want anyone's voices silenced. I don't think anyone should have to. But the internet has given us this ability to be not only anonymous, to not only say what we want under a screen generated preset that you make up, like Anime Fan 107, right? But it is given the ability to harass and troll. It's given us the ability to just absolutely, not everyone. Hi, babies. What are you doing? It's given us the ability to lose our empathy. And in this sort of situation, a loss of empathy is could lead to a death like this, right? And I think I agree with Bryant, right? I like to believe, but I'm more of a trust and verify kind of person. I like um I like to listen and I like to understand and I like to um be one of those people that like, okay, well, I don't necessarily believe men are women. I believe evidence. And the only evidence that we had at this time was really, really not looking good on his side. And he has, again, did not add any to make it look better. He did not add anything to make himself look better. Again, these aren't things I disagree with. I don't think that it should have ended this way. I don't feel like this was even. We've seen so many bad situations. We just talked about Steph and I just talked about last week. Quite Unset. Those those allegations were horrendous. And you've got Dan Snyder coming out going, sorry. I'm so sorry. Like, come on, what? Mm. Joseph says, you said you're inclined to believe the victim, but how do you challenge yourself to make sure you're speaking to a victim? That's where that's where it gets murky, right? That's why I said I listen. I try to understand what we have right now. The only real facts we have at the situation is he was talking to a 17-year-old. That's fucking weird when you're 40. When I say fucking weird, that's all it is. Like, where are her parents? Where is her who like why are they not, I don't know, looking at what she's doing on social media? I mean, I get you need some sort of privacy at 17, but my God. All we know right now, the truth of the matter is, all we know right now is that he was talking. That doesn't mean he should have had to die. And not even a little bit. Not even remotely should this have ended this way. Robert says, also rip MD Bright. We lost 2 artists yesterday. I actually didn't see that till later in the day. So absolutely. Because all this was happening, I just all in 1 week. So then he adds, this again. We're only looking at what we have, whether or not context is removed. That's for you to judge. But he says the last one in the back bedroom has a drawing table in there too. You can crash here if you ever wander in my side of the state for a few days and old video games. And she says that's one of the most beautiful collections I've ever seen. Probably don't offer a bedroom to a 17-year-old. I'm just putting it out there. Yeah, that's not okay. I get it. I get it. Like, maybe they were friends and, one artist introducing another artist or helping somebody out. I get it. But probably don't do that. Probably don't do that. Again, none of this means that this man should have lost his life. None of it. Don't help people. It may come back to haunt you. No, that's not what I'm saying. When you're 40, don't offer a bedroom to a child, right? Now, if this person was in their 20s, I mean, even if they were over 18, that's a little different. It doesn't make it look good. It doesn't. That's a teenager? Exactly. Probably don't do that. Or just, just, oh, it's weird. It's weird. I'm sorry. It's weird. I do agree this whole situation sucks. I love Ed's work, except for Red Room. No one always gave me the creeps. But to each their own, right? To each their own. Just don't DM these ladies. And I'm not actually saying don't DM ladies, right? I'm not saying that at all. Just make sure they're of age, right? Just make sure they're of age. It's the age. The only the only part of this that's even odd is the age, right? Like, and again, I understand men like young girls, but there is too young. He's white. I don't think race has anything to do with it. Did anyone ever mention his race? I'm trying to think. I actually don't think anyone ever mentioned his race. Maybe I'm missing context, right? But yeah. So there's what started the situation. Now I actually don't believe, and this is my own personal thing. Where is I actually don't believe this one. Is this the blowjob one? And this is on me not to believe. Obviously, there are people that will believe it, or people that won't believe the whole situation at all. Also, I remember this guy first tried to impress me. I'm not sure if that's the one. There was one where he was saying, where there was one girl that was saying he offered, it was another Molly, he asked me for a blowjob. Come to find out, this is the one I don't believe, just because they had sex, they had a relationship, and she left all of that context out, every single bit of it. Okay, this is the context I miss. And yes, a white guy doesn't get the same guilty until proven innocence. I mean, I guess I would say Jonathan Majors begs to differ. I don't understand what his race has to do with anything. I don't understand. I don't think it does. I don't think that really does. Let's see if this is the other one. I think that was it. I don't think they included the one. Okay, here it is. The screenshotted Instagram stories began to spread on social media over the weekend as some people caught up. Okay, a second accuser whose name we removed posted an Instagram and Twitter that Piskor had allegedly positioned her for oral sex and for his agent's number. So I don't actually have Instagram, so it won't let me see, I guess. Or they deleted it maybe. Again, that's not one there was no. See, here's the problem with proof when it comes to something like that, right? It's near impossible to get proof of something like that. It's near impossible to get, unless you're like recording in that situation, which who would be? Something like that, you either have to take them for their word or not. And she left out some key details, which is why in that situation I don't believe her. I just don't. Oh, super chat. I'm sorry. Oh, Nick. Sorry, Nick. Good morning, Rob, Knox, Black, Raymond, Pika, Joseph, and Trish. Good morning, Nick. How are you? I'm still trying to figure out what you're going on about, Man of Action. Bottom line, you get accused of it, you get treated as guilty. Okay, so do you want to? Here's the thing. Do you want to go back to a time where women were never believed? Do you want to go back to a time where it was okay to date a 17-year-old? Like, I feel like there's got to be a balance. And maybe that's the conversation that needs to be had out of all of this. Maybe that's the conversation that needs to be had. Where is the balance of listening and understanding and listening for I mean, you could be a human lie detector if you're good at getting someone's pulse. That's a little over the top. Just a little trick, I know. Just putting that out there. But there needs to be a balance. And the balance is lost. I noticed this morning when I was looking for, this is really fucking weird. You guys probably know who Rich Johnson is. If you don't know who Rich Johnson is, I'm so happy for you right now. I am, right? I really am. I'm really happy for you. Rich Johnson runs Bleeding Cool. And I actually don't have a huge problem with Rich Johnson because I'm apathetic to people like Rich Johnson. I don't have any interest in knowing them. I don't have any interest in listening to what they have to say. But with that being said, I was looking for coverage of what we're looking at right now, right? And Rich Johnson runs Bleeding Cool. That is probably, I think one could make an argument that is, besides maybe like Screen Rant or something, it's the most up to date when it comes to comic book news. I think one could make an argument it's the biggest, right? Rich Johnson, Rich Johnson has not done an article about this. I find it very, very odd that he has not. And I find it even more odd that he hasn't, I don't know, he didn't even cover the original well, good for him, but I mean, like, he didn't cover any of it. Accusations like this warrant investigation. Investigation isn't the same as assuming guilt. There's the problem here, right? In the court of public opinion. There's no way to do a investigation. You can only look at what you see, what you know, what's put out there. Now, do I think that investigation should be done before somebody loses a $75K deal? Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely should. I think it should absolutely be done. Do I think it should be done before he lost his art gallery? Right? Yeah, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. But obviously, people can't do an investigation. You can only take what you see in front of you. And again, one thing I hated about his note was him trying to place blame on people that covered it, because you can't silence everyone. You can't. This is Rachel Ray. I'm sure this is the side of the internet that doesn't mind cancel culture. Now, this is the side of the internet that wants to have a conversation about what happened, right? And figure out what happened in order to prevent it from happening again. Now, with that being said, we need to talk about what cancel culture. It's a term that's thrown around so often that it's one like woke or like Nazi, right? That has kind of lost its meaning. But we do have clear situations where people have been canceled. Comic Boom, good morning. He says Piskor's passing speaks as much about the importance of mental health and that it does the issue of cancel culture. Many are ill-equipped to handle accusations. So tragic. And that's what I was saying earlier. I wish he had a support. I don't know about a support system. I can't judge. But I wish there was something out there, somebody out there that would have just sat with him, right? Just sat with him. And it reminds me so much of All-Star Batman. Lord have mercy. No. Superman, right? Where the girl was going to jump off a building and Superman just sat with him, right? Because sometimes that's important. Sometimes mental health is the issue that we need to talk about than cancel culture. But that's the conversation that so many people are having. And so many are blaming instead of looking at so many times when people fall through the cracks. And it's fucked up. And it's really fucked up. Nick, the time he was texting Molly was during COVID. So we're talking 4 years ago, right? 4 years ago. Again, I will be the first to say it is not okay that he was texting a 17-year-old. I will also be the first to say that should not have resulted in a man's death. I can put the number. I actually have the number. I didn't want to go into this super ill prepared, so I'll just say this one time. If you do need help, you can always reach out to me. There's also a number in the description for anyone that needs help. this community is part of my support group. I 100% agree. I 100% agree. There was a time there's 2 times that were really bad on my channel. One was more recent. But the first one, okay, there was a lot of bad times on my channel. I had my channel taken over by MGTOW person. I had like just some wild shit happen. But well over a year ago, I was doxxed, pregnancy pictures were released. Just some wild shit went down, right? And I have never had that level. People aren't, sometimes it's hard to deal with that level of harassment. Never in my mind. And I do think it was probably because I was at a better state. Did I think to take my own life? I leaned on the people around me. And that's where I think he went wrong. That's where I think he went wrong is I feel like, and again, I could be wrong. I only know my side. But I feel like leaning on those people, leaning on the community, leaning on my support system got me through a really hard time. And I wished he had done the same. Reese, you're such a liar. You're not bad at helping people. You're one of the best. What are you talking about? You're crazy. You're crazy. Rachel, quote unquote, Rachel, this is what I mean by anonymity online, right? Nobody's happy he's dead. Nobody is. And if that's what you are, here for, is to be happy this man died, then there is something deeply wrong with you. And like I'm saying with this community, maybe you need to talk to your support system. I needed a joint. I need a joint. What are you talking about, Nick? Are you crazy? But yeah, we're not playing these like, are you happy or died or not? Like, that's just, how old are you? 4? 4.5? Tavia says, why didn't the comic book industry help him? Because everybody has their own separate lives, right? I do feel like he has a great community with, I don't necessarily know if he's as close with his at Cartoonist Kayfabe, but I do feel like it's a very important thing to have, right? It's a very important thing to have. And to be fair, the comic book industry community, rather, if that's what you want to call it, I think they're very selfish at heart, right? The way I've seen this covered, though, is wild. And I do want to make sure we talk about that. Just somebody take Rachel out. They're obviously a troll. And kind of pathetic, right? We're talking about a man that passed, that took his own life. Stop. Yeah. This is what I think Both Don St. Louis and Comic Boom said they're afraid. They're afraid to say, even so much that you had Jim come out and say something, right? They're afraid because if they side with somebody that was talking to a 17-year-old, how does that make them look? So it was easier to throw them under the bus. It was easier to say, even if I've known this man my entire life, right? It was easier to say, nope, goodbye. Goodbye. Now, that also brings into question again, like people are acting like what him talking to a child was okay, right? So would you want to talk? Would you want to? This is such a fucked up situation. Would you want to side with somebody that was talking to a kid? And again, I know kid's not the right word, teenager. Teenager's the right word. But when I was 17, I was fucking stupid. I was fucking stupid. I was a bad kid. And I don't think I would have never thrown anyone on the bus like that. That's just not me. But I do think at 17 I would have flirted right back. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I was an idiot. And the whole situation is kids are stupid. They're going to do stupid things. They're going to talk back to somebody that they have a little starstruck power over. You know, like, oh my God, it's Ed Piskor. I love his art. Right? Like, people are going to look at that. That's why I don't know how to feel about this situation. Because the whole thing fucks with me. I feel bad for the man that went through this. But as somebody that was 17 once, I would have thought it was cool. I mean, why are you talking to a teenager? Did he know she was 17? 100% he knew. And there's proof of that. I think we showed it earlier. Yeah, he knew she was 17 because he specifically asked, are you 17 or 18? And then he said something like, because if you were 17, it would kill me. Or hold on, I can show you. I know it's in this article. And that's why this situation is so, are you right here? I'm gonna be so mad if you say 17. This crushes me at that age. And that's why this situation fucks with my head so much, and I don't know how to feel. But what I don't like, and that's what I want to talk about. I had two pregnancies. Reese said I had two pregnancy scares at 17. I hope they weren't like within the same month. Reese is a hoe, confirmed. He's a hoe. Teenagers are idiots. I was drinking every weekend. I was doing drugs. I was an idiot, right? Completely stupid. I like to the point where I look back and I cringe and I'm like, what the fuck were you thinking? Like, I got some dumbass tattoos. I got some dumbass piercings. Like, I still like, oh, I cringe at some of the decisions I made at 17, right? And at 17, I was a junior? Junior in high school. Reese is a girl, no, but he can still be a hoe. Junior in fucking high school? and then a senior, but we make dumb mistakes. This is why you don't do this. This is why I hate that it's being framed, and I keep bringing this up, so I'm going to keep my thought here. I hate that it's being framed that cancel culture killed this man. And I'm probably going to piss off half of you right now, but I'll tell you a little story. Growing up, my mom was on and off drugs, mostly on. She loved them. They were her best friend. And drinking, and that's just who she was, right? I knew that by 17. And maybe I was a little bit more mature by then because I had dealt with that, right? Not super mature because I was doing the same thing. Fast forward 20 years, and she's still doing the same thing. Still doing the same thing, right? Canada's not a real place, James. We know this already. But because of that, she committed suicide. A couple years ago. Actually, it was during the Johnny Depp trial. I hadn't spoken to her in 4 years. Because she showed up at my brother's house with like a crack pipe. It was a wild situation. But I hadn't spoken to her in 4 years. That doesn't bother me so much. What bothers me is the selfishness of that act. The idea that she could leave behind so many people that tried to help her for so many years. So when I say I think suicide is selfish, it's because I've been through it. And I know how selfish that act is. Right now, Ed is not in pain. Ed let the internet win. His mother is burying a son. His father is burying that little kid he used to play baseball with, right? His sister has lost a brother. I don't know. What do brother and sisters do? I don't know. I hate my brother. But those people are most affected. Now he may have nieces or nephews. He may have, something like that. I don't think he's a father. I'm pretty sure he's not, to be honest with you. So at least there's that. Then every single one of those people have people that he's affected. He's got aunts, uncles, cousins. He's got every single little bit of piece of him that affected somebody else. And then on top of that, he has a little bit of a community that rallied around this man and waited for him to come back and waited for that. So he's got hundreds of people that are affected by his death. And what he chose to do was let the internet win. And that's where I don't understand, right? What I don't understand is how you can let some random fucking person that's talking shit online affect you to that degree. So much so that you take your life? How? How do you give somebody that amount of power? You fight like fucking hell. If you're innocent, you fight like hell. That's why I've said it before. I don't respect people that settle in lawsuits, right? Because if you're innocent, you're innocent. You fucking prove it. You prove it. Why didn't he just prove it? Why didn't he just say, I'm innocent. Here's the fucking DMs. Kiss my white ass. Kiss it. I don't get it. I didn't know he was accused a few years back. Same name, same issue. Wait, really? The same Molly chick? Well, I would be very curious if that's the case, why it has traction now and it didn't a few years back. Is it because, are we looking at timing of things? Because he was just getting that deal, that art show. His channel was doing very well. I don't get it. I don't get it. Robert said Sean Gordon Murphy is still with us. Warren Ellis is still with us too. Ellis was really bad too. Sean, just in the conversations I've had with him, he feels like a very strong-willed person. And I don't think he got it near as bad as like nobody really took Meg seriously, right? When she said, thanks, Reese. When she said he was love bombing me. Did you really take that seriously with Sean? Like, have you seen Sean? He was not love bombing you. Honey, he was not. Ellis had a lot bigger, and Ellis is a whole nother situation. Ellis was a crazy situation. He had a lot of like weird power things, and like he was creepy, but also like girls like to show their tits for jobs and stuff like that. So it's a whole nother situation, right? But you fight like fucking hell. We're talking about Megs, yes. And again, you've seen Sean. You've seen Sean's wife probably even too, right? Wait, Rick Remender too? Why did I not know about Rick Remender? I love Rick Remender. He's great. One more writer that I've gotten into more recently. What was the book called? Scumbag that he did? Oh, funny fucking shit. Funny. He just did a book recently that we talked about on Comics Day, and I can't remember what it was. He did that book with the animals. And I'm like, I don't even like reading books about animals, but it's really good. Really, really good. Really good. I did not know about Rick Remender though, and I didn't know he lost mainstream gigs. That's what I mean. There is in the last, I really feel like the Johnny Depp case changed a lot when it comes to redemption for false accusations. Now, real accusations, he really talked to a 17-year-old. We know that. But there is redemption. It takes time. It takes work. But you fight like fucking hell. You don't let the internet weirdos win. You don't let them have that power. I do want to go and I want to Brian Wood. Oh, yes, I remember the Brian Wood situation briefly. I don't remember exactly what happened with that one, but I do remember it briefly. I know I'm gonna use diversity in comics just because I was sent some of the stuff that I want to show you. Da-da-da-da-da. Oh my god. How many times does he post a day? Oh my god. This is crazy. Maybe I won't. Look at this. Hold on, I'll show you. Johnny Depp's hot lawyer. She was great, wasn't she? What was it? Camille Vasquez. Okay, 3 days ago. Is that who is that? I don't even know who that is. Wait, is that Stephanie Phillips? She grew out her hair. She looks great. I feel sick. Just got a message from his family that he is in fact gone. My heart goes out to the family. Okay. Some people can't climb out of the pit of despair that SJW cancel pig shoved them into. There was one specific right here. Cancel culture is it? He deleted it. Damn it. I bet you I still have the screenshot. I do. Okay. Is that going to show anything on my email? Here, I'm going to do it this way. He deleted it, but I can still show you because this could absolutely be defamation, and this is the kind of shit that's bugging me. The kind that it's not the what's being covered. Where is it? What the fuck is this thing? Is that it? I don't know how to do this. Here it is. Now you can see it. Ed Piskor is confirmed dead. This was Ethan Van Sciver's post, who again did jump on the situation. I didn't see his coverage of it, so I don't know. All of us covered it. Everybody that covers comics covered this situation. Alex DeCampi is a murderer. This is gone, mind you. Alex DeCampi is an idiot. She is an unsuccessful comic book writer. She is a bitch. She's, in my opinion, a terrible person. But this is too much. This is overly hyperbolic, and I'm sure that's why he probably deleted it. But if you want the freedom of speech for the people that you like, right? You have to have it for the people that you don't like too. That includes the Alex DeCampis of the world. Man of Action said he's holding. Here, let me bring it up. He's holding fire until this dies down a little bit. He said he wasn't going to cover the suicide, but he would have more after he collected his. I think it's even talking to you guys about this, right? It's very hard to have collected thoughts about this because you can see as a person all sides of the situation. You can see how you could blame mob mentality, how you could blame mental health, which is really a lot of this, right? You could see how you could blame all of this You could see how it's wrong to be talking to a 17-year-old. You could also see that it wasn't worth a life. I hate to keep censoring myself, but no matter how you're fucking feeling right now, that is not the way to go. It's selfish. It's unneeded. And you're only hurting the people closest to you. And when it comes to mom mentality, let's not just pretend. And I do think there is this weird consensus that it's like a leftist thing, right? That it's like a leftist thing. It's on both sides. When I talked about the situation I went through, that was not leftists attacking me. Though they have in the past, when I covered the Zoe Quinn situation, very similar, much worse allegations, much worse. I want to make sure I said that. But when I covered that situation, I've been attacked by both sides. Sucks no matter what. But you have to. You have to be stronger than the people attacking you. Because if not, they win. What is the biggest thing you can do to prove the people wrong that hate you? You be successful. He could have came back in a year and been successful and shown every single one of those people that talk shit about him, the Ramon Villalobos and everybody in the world, that he didn't need them. He didn't need their dehumanization of him, right? Because he was successful. Because he could handle it. Because he was able to handle it. And that's really, really the best way to handle that situation. Speaking of Ramon Villalobos, I actually don't care. I was going to say, I hope I'm saying his name correctly, but I really don't care. All things pass. One of my favorite sayings in the world is all things pass. One of my favorite, it's the old Tale of the Ring. And I can't think of it right now. This too shall pass. One of my favorite sayings in the entire world, because so many times when I have been down, that saying comes to mind. And as much as life sucks sometimes, this too shall pass. Not everyone is built the same. I do understand that, and I do. And I don't want to sound like a heartless bitch. I don't. But I want people to be able to understand that the conversation that needs to be had right here now is on mental health. It's not on, and I'm guilty of it too. I'm covering it right now. But I don't know why, Tavia. Oh, no way. Undead Quinn. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this. Ramon was, oh my God. Do you guys remember? That was very early in when I started covering new. Oh my God, that guy. I actually probably still have videos about that guy. Okay, so that says a lot. Okay, so let's take a look at. Ramon was specifically named in the letter that we looked at yesterday. Mind you, when we looked at that, we did not know. We didn't know he was gone. We didn't know what happened. I had said, if anybody finds anything out, let me know as soon as possible. And within just a little bit, we did find out. Do you accept the mental health argument from the right? What are you saying? It's not important for the right, or it's not important? I'm confused. I accept I think mental health is extremely important. I think regardless of what side you play politics under, and like I've seen your messages come through. Clearly you play politics, right? I don't give a shit what side you're on. You're welcome here no matter what side you're on. But let's not pretend like both sides are perfect. Let's not pretend like either side is perfect. Come on now. Okay. And then let's read this, but I want to see what Jacob says. Every time I see that name Jacob Ayers, I think of the guy that directed, what's his name, Jacob Ayers? The guy that directed the original Suicide Squad. I know his last name was Ayers, but I can't remember. My biggest question is why the industry is full of bad people. Like all sides of the situation, like bad. Why does the industry have no accountability for itself? Because there's no accountability whatsoever. People are blaming Ed's death on other people. The people that talk shit, it looks like some of them, David Ayer, thank you. Okay, that's what it is. Because accountability has become very small in this world that we live in, right? There is none left. Nobody is willing to say, hey, I fucked up. I'm sorry. I'm gonna fix it. Now, some people are. Obviously, I'm being a bit hyperbolic, but the accountability has been gone from not only, we're not talking just comics, right? From any side, from any industry. There are bad people in every single industry that you live in, that you work in, that you commune with. There are bad people. Now, that should not taint a whole industry, right? I'm guilty of it. People like JDA shouldn't taint all of Comicsgate. People like Ramon Villalobos should not taint all of comics. We're all guilty of it to some degree. All right, let's take a look. He said, been mulling over this all day, but understandably didn't want to say anything out of turn. This is how I feel. I don't even know what to say. My heart goes out to Ed Piskor's family and friends. This is not me being hypocritical or trying to backtrack on the post I made that were critical of Piskor in the past. It is my belief that when you believe someone is a bad actor, you should call them out. I can't say I disagree. I call people out all the time that I think are bad actors. I do. Not all the time. I used to do it more than I do now, but I kind of got to that I don't give a fuck mode, right? And I'm like, hey, let's do something fun. But I don't necessarily disagree. I don't think you have a requirement to call them out, but I'm also not going to judge you if that's what you want to do. The fact is, there were unsavory allegations about Ed that were preceded by rumors that he was unsafe and predatory to women in comic scene. In his letter, Piskor said that he was innocent and that they were missing context that, if shared, would exonerate him. I wish he would have made that case and acknowledged that his experience may not have aligned with the experiences of the women that spoke out against him. I wish he would have shared his experience too, especially when it comes to online talking, right? Because it does seem like perception can be wildly different through text, right? Someone can just text you and say, "I'm fine." And you can be like, "Okay, they're fine." Or you can think they're being pissy, or you can think they're being, dismissive. It's very hard to tell tone and inflection. Look at her, she still makes it about her and spin. No, this is Ramon. To Campy. Okay, okay. This is Ramon Villalobos thing though. This isn't to Campy. Um, he could have acknowledged his faults and promised to do better. I'm sure most people would have given him the opportunity to prove he was capable of growth. We'll never know because Ed has chosen another route and it's heartbreaking. I hate that this was a choice he made. Even though Piskor considered me part of his mob out to take away comics, the only thing he loved, that was obviously never my intention. My intention was to make that thing he loved accessible to women who have far too often been victimized by men in this business. But my intention doesn't matter. He was clearly in a headspace where he felt that was the case, but I can, from the bottom of my heart, say that I wish this wasn't how his story ended. His friends, family, and fans deserved to see him make an attempt to live up to the man he believed him to be. I agree. I completely agree. And because I can't forget how it all started, my heart goes out to the women who shared their experiences and made them feel uncomfortable and unsafe in this space. And they should have had some peace and support from the community, but instead they got this. Their experiences still matter. Again, I don't disagree with anything that was said here. I do feel like this was probably written and rewritten and rewritten and rewritten, but even so, I don't disagree. Even him taking his life also makes it so he can't, even if there really was victims, right? There was nothing illegal done here, but if there was, that justice can't be sought after either, right? I do feel like when it comes to this, I don't know what's sincere and what's not, but I can't say I disagree. People are considered adults at the age of 17 in 8 states in the US. Yes, I actually was in one of them when I was 17. Maybe we report, but do not moralize or make judgments on circumstances we do not know. If he did this, it could be. Hold on. Hold on. What if it was your sister getting texts from a 40-year-old man calling him a nutty, nutty girl? What if it was your daughter? Right? I am not saying there is not a path for redemption, but I am saying that is a child. That is still a child. And I don't even know anything about this person, but I do know he was named in it. Um and that he made a statement, at least he didn't avoid it. But it looks like Alex DeCampi retweeted this. Did she even make a personal statement? You seen the she did? Wait, did I see what? Who did? The original Molly chick? I've never seen her work. I haven't. I don't know anything about her. When Ed DM'd her. Yeah, we went over the DMs. Yeah, we went over that. But I didn't see any of I know she was an artist. I didn't see any of her art. I didn't see anything like that. No statement. Okay. See, you're avoiding everything, right? You're justifying the one thing I want you to answer. What does that have to do with the people who don't know the accused or alleged victim? They were commenting on it, right? Just like you and I are commenting on it. Just like everyone in this chat is commenting on it. Just like I think I mentioned EVS and JDA and comics tropes and thinking critical. We all commented on it. We all have our own opinion. And that's okay. What's not okay is harassment. Now, I didn't see any like personal harassment towards Piskor, but that doesn't mean it didn't exist. Daryl Ale made not such a direct statement, but I saw like focus on on the accusations. Some people are gonna be that way, and you have to understand their mindset. They are victims first, right? Again, I'm gonna go back to what I said in the beginning. The only proof we have here doesn't mean he should have ended his life. The only proof we have here is that he did DM and do some dumbass shit, right? That's it. Toonami. Ed did some dumbass shit, but wasn't on no pedophile shit. And bro didn't bring up anything sexual. He got canceled for no reason type shit. People do way worse and I agree. People do way fucking worse. Again, I don't disagree with that. Is this I don't know who you're talking about when you say Daryl Aol. Like, a lot of these people are so insignificant that they have no power within the industry. Why are you letting them win? Why are you letting these idiots win? Bye, Tivia. I don't understand. Maybe it's my competitiveness. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's me always like, I'm very competitive by nature, right? I want to do better. I want to prove that I'm better. I want to be better if I fucked up. Right? I'm very competitive in that way. I want to prove and make people either proud to be my friend or family. I want to show what I'm made of. I don't ever want to give in. And I know that's just me. I know that's just me. I know that not everybody is built that way. But I wish more people could look at it and go, okay, you know what? The best way to prove these people wrong is to be successful. Robert, you said you sent me screenshots, but I don't know. I know there was like that guy had a last name of Dork. And I don't know who Zachary Morris is. Like, I've covered comics for a very long time. I've read comics for even longer. But I know Dorkin does that dork thing. Evan Dorkin, did you send me that? You say they have no power, but a small, loud group on Twitter gets white knights that echo bullshit and drove. And again, I'm not disagreeing with you, right? I'm not disagreeing with you because clearly they have some perceived amount of power because we're seeing what happened. We're seeing it canceled 2 of his deals, right? Oh, I found the Dorkin one, but it only shows one. I did criticize Ed. I did not criticize Ed to pile on. It wasn't out of jealousy of his success or to monetize the situation, as some are doing in play politics. They absolutely are. 100% are. Obviously, my posts hurt Ed. He singled me out in his note. I hurt Ed. I am responsible for the hurt, even if I stand by my criticism. 2. I don't know why it says 2. Dorkin has one of the most unfortunate names ever. Yeah, it really does. And he does. I know he's a comic strip guy. I emailed them the screenshots of Dorkin. Yeah, I got this one. I don't see. This is what I'm saying. Like, honestly, besides who I have mentioned, besides Ed, how many of you? Oh, you just emailed them. How many of you have heard of many of these other people? Okay. So let's take a look at what he had to say. I don't think most of you have heard of perceive there are bodies in the ground, both from the mob. No. People have to have accountability. And this is where we're going to disagree. I mentioned my mom. Drugs didn't kill her. She killed her. She made the conscious decision to kill herself. The mob didn't kill him. He has to live. His family has to live with the idea that their son killed themselves. I understand it hurts and you want somebody to blame, but nobody took his life but him. This is what I keep saying, and this is why I hate when it's framed this way. And not you, Reese. I'm not picking on you on purpose because Reese is awesome. But, and a big old but, there has to be accountability. There has to be accountability for the people that spread lies or malicious information. And there has to be accountability for oneself. I know people think I'm heartless, but the cancel culture didn't kill him. Had he never talked to that female, this would have never happened. He killed himself, and that sucks. And it sucks. And it sucks. It sucks bad. But there has to be some accountability. And I know he wasn't in the right state of mind. And I know he wasn't okay. And I know he didn't have these support systems. And I don't want to sound heartless. Or I don't want to dehumanize him in a way. But as somebody that's been through it, there has to be be a little bit of accountability for it. You have to come to terms with it as a person in that family. And that's what's going to suck the most. He explained himself pretty much. We looked at it yesterday. It started to make me tear up, so I finished it after stream. I didn't finish it during. It was really hard to read. But I never said it was illegal, right? There are things that are like legality does not equal morality, right? And there is a difference in some people's morality. Some people think it's okay what he's done. I don't. And I agree with Tsunami. I really, really wish. Okay. So what would happen, right? Just putting this situation out here when he mentions this again, because it's a good example. The outrage over the initial what was it? The initial text from her. If that same amount of outrage came out for that news station, maybe then somebody would hold them responsible. That needs to happen. The outrage for the TV, the outrage for the lies. Maybe at some point they'll be held responsible. It needs to be bigger than what happened with the initial text, right? In order for somebody to take notice, but no, they're not going to, because they're going to use it for their narrative, right? I know, Gary, I'm sorry. Gary says, for God's sake, what happened to YouTube being about fun and uplifting content? 90% of the time I am, or I try to be, or I try to just talk about light subject. But once last week, when we talked about Quiet on Set, and then this week with Ed's passing, it got pretty heavy. But I promise we'll do some fun stuff this week. I really want to finish Resident Evil. I want to try Helldivers 2. I want to play the Stellar Blade demo for you guys and kind of explain what I really liked. And maybe we'll talk about Tacky Spoobs even. Like, there's fun stuff to be had. But this is something that needs to be talked about. Something that needs to be talked about. Times change, sadly. No, Todd, I promise. It's just temporary. But when real subjects come up that aren't just, oh my God, new Batman came out. Oh my God, new video game out. Oh my God, Joker DLC. I want to be able to have these conversations also. So, I think they're important, just as important as having fun. I need fun stuff soon. Tomorrow. There was something actually mentioned, he says about suing him, in his letter about possibly getting, he left his lawyer's name and said about with the second Molly that said he wanted me to give him a blowjob, about possibly getting subpoena some text and some other things. So I do hope that his family follows through for his legacy. Right? I do. Because I think he deserves that. Eddie Gordo's 8. Oh yeah, his trailer, he was released also. I'm not even interested. I honestly lost so much interest in Tekken. It's not that good. It kind of sucks, but whatever. That's just me. No, you hold people like me that covered it more responsible for his death than you do a news station that doxed his father's house. And I will go on record here saying that I know at least myself, I know at least Thinking Critical, all said allegations, all said take it with a grain of salt, all said that, right? We all did. I would bet that EVS did too. Not that I'm a fan, but I think he's got a little bit of integrity somewhere under all that pie, right? I would bet he did. So then your priorities are completely fucked up. Completely fucked up. For one, news stations are allowed to cover the news. YouTubers who cover the news are allowed to do so, right? That's wild to me. That's a lot of pie, right? That's what I'm saying. We are all to blame, mostly Ed himself, but we all share some guilt. I would be curious who agrees with this sentiment, right? I would be curious. Do the people I mentioned share guilt in his death by covering the news? So does that mean we are never allowed to cover news just in case something bad happens? That's wild. That's wild to me. That's like saying shut up and don't cover anything. Oh, you know what? A new DC person got hired for Superman, but I can't cover it just in case, something happens. No, that's stupid. That's so silly. Now, did I feel after stream yesterday when I found out? Yeah, I felt pretty guilty. I felt like really small for a while. Because I've never covered a situation and this has happened. But I do make sure that I try to make sure to say, like, okay, there was when we were talking about the situation, there was somebody that came in and said, we found his alt. And I was like, no, I'm not covering that because there's no proof of it, right? The only thing I will try to cover is something that is for sure and say take it with a grain of salt. That doesn't mean I didn't feel guilty. That doesn't mean I still don't feel guilty a little bit, but I can guarantee fucking to you, nobody from Cartoonist Kayfabe knows what my little channel is. Nobody does. It's not an alt because the guy is still tweeting. And that's exactly why, thank you, Jacob, I did not know that. That's exactly why I didn't cover that. Because there's no fucking proof. And I didn't want to be putting somebody's information out there when it wasn't 100% confirmed. Bullshit. I'm really glad I didn't. But let's see what Evan Dorkin has to say. Because, yeah, of course I felt guilty. And I even went back and listened to part of my stream where we talked about it, where I said, hey, take this with a grain of salt. These could be edited. These could be this. So I never something I'm going to say, anybody we covered today, never send hate to any of these people. Sometimes it's just the one person that can throw you over the edge into spiral and depression. So let's just not do that. Let's just not do that. Evan Dorkin said, I hope the news about Ed Piskor isn't true. I think a lot of people were like, it's April Fool's, but that obviously wasn't the case. We used to be friends. I criticized Ed online, RE, the podcast in the past, and over the recent DMs. I thought it was irresponsible, bad behavior, and I called it out. I emailed Ed twice asking him to step back, to hate me, but live. What are you doing? What are you doing there, little picture? I did not criticize Ed or Pylon. I wasn't out of jealousy of success or to monetize the situation or to play politics. Obviously, my post hurt Ed. He singled me out in his note. I hurt Ed. I am responsible for that hurt. I stand by my criticism. In the past, I used to be much more rude and critical when I made fun. Oh my God. Come on, computer. Of something or called. Here, let's look at the second one. Where was it at? I made fun of something or called someone out. I have tried to calm that rhetoric down while criticizing, dial down the anger. Even so, we're responsible for our words and our action. That includes me, Ed, everyone. This is terrible on all accounts. For all the people directly involved, I hope the news about Ed Piskor isn't true. He knows I tried doing something drastic when things got bad for me some years back. I told him it's not the way. I hope he comes back and talks more shit about me. I mean, at least he took some sort of responsibility, right? It looks like some of these people are taking some sort of responsibility. I don't think that's the case in some of the other situations, but we're seeing a little bit. I don't know what people want when they say accountability, right? I think the best thing for people to do is to take them. I have to believe people are telling the truth. I have to believe that people actually feel bad. Because if not, I'll lose my faith in humanity. Let's be real. But at least they're apologizing. At least they're maybe thinking inwards a little bit, thinking on what happened. How can I prevent this? How can I dial back my rhetoric in order to prevent this from happening again? And I don't disagree with you, Rolsk. Of course, you can cover anything, but when we cover stuff, gossip about people, etc., we affect people. Of course we do. Of course we do. And I've been there and I know how it feels. But I cover comics. A lot of us cover comics. And it's going to be covered if those are out there. And you can't blame the person for doing so. Son of Jarrell doesn't think they feel bad. I have to. And I don't know if it's just my naivete, right? And it probably is. It probably is my naivete. But I have to believe in some sense of the word, they feel bad. They have some sort of remorse. And that's not just them, right? Calling Alex DeCampi a murderer should be apologized for, just like these people. Blaming people for someone else's death for covering the news is insane to me. Nobody knew how he felt. Gary, thank you so much. 2 bloody people got me yesterday. Critical Drinker said he's quitting YouTube, and a sweet ASMR girl said she was doing an OnlyFans, and I was like, wait, what? Oh my God, I should have thought of that's such a funny idea. Damn it. That's a good one. That is a good one. Somebody got me yesterday. It was a comic book cast, and I knew it once I seen it that it wasn't real. I clicked it and I'm like, "God damn it." It was Jonathan Majors cast as Jon Stewart Green Lantern, and I was like, "What? That's crazy." And then I was like, "What? That's fake as fuck." Like, yeah, that got me. That got me. Damn it, that was really, really good idea. Not the quitting YouTube, the other one. That would have been really, really funny. Robert, thank you so much. What's really getting on my nerves is these people think they wanted him to die. No, I don't think they did. Maybe they wanted him to own up or go offline, but not to end their lives. I can say the same thing about anti-SJWs acting like they want SJWs to die too. For sure. For fucking sure. Right? For fucking sure. The situation is really, really hard. The situation is really, really hard. And it's hard to understand somebody's mental state without knowing them personally and without being able to converse with them, right? And I really, really hope. See, I don't think so, Sacred Geek. I know I'm not gonna lie, I would at first be like, you fucking asshole. And then at second I would be like, okay, you got me, right? But I don't think so. I don't think so. And that's what sucks about it. It's an awful situation. And I really, really hope a lot of people learn or at least second guess themselves. Yay, thank you so much, Roll SK. I appreciate you. I really hope people, the next time something happens, don't look at it with glee, right? Like THS said here. You don't look at it with glee, either side of the situation. But I also hope people learn not to use this for their narrative. Just if you pray for his family. If you don't pray, then even sometimes just a nice thought, nice, if you know them personally, checking in on them, something like that, because now they need that support system. And this is a really, really, really sad situation. I don't know. I apologize if I came off heartless. I do. I'm going to wrap up, but again, I don't mean to come off heartless. What I mean is the lack of accountability, the cowardice. It's not something that I can get behind. It's just not. It bothers me that so many people can excuse that sort of behavior when there's so many other people involved in his life that he left behind. It's really sad. All right, guys, I hope you have a much brighter day than now. But I appreciate all of you guys, and I will see you next time. And again, there's links in the description if you need any help. My business email is public. If anyone ever needs to talk, if you're in that mind state, we have people here that would be more than willing just to listen, myself included. I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.